The stars above Virelios Prime glittered like scattered diamonds. The Galactic Coalition's greatest event was about to begin, the Fleet Legacy Summit. Held only once every 100 years, it was the time when every advanced species gathered to show off the pride of their fleets, their strongest, most beautiful warships from history. It was a celebration of peace, strength, and technology. This year the crowd was buzzing with excitement. Delegates from over 1,000 civilizations filled the space station's vast viewing halls, floating gently in artificial gravity. Giant holoscreens lit the room in soft blue light, showing live feeds from orbit. Ships of every shape and color were already on display, some shaped like flowing vines, others like burning suns or silver birds. The Trelvani displayed their Sun-Piercer class, vessel a golden giant said to split moons with a single beam. The proud Vokai brought their Stormfather, a warship that once faced an entire armada alone and survived. The crowd cheered, clapped, and admired them all, but one name on the schedule caused confusion. Humanity, Obsolete Fleet display. A few delegates chuckled. Obsolete Fleet? Why would humans show junk in a place like this? The humans had always been strange. They rarely shared much. They didn't fight in galactic wars. They didn't sell weapons. And while they were members of the Coalition, they lived quietly in a few star systems near the edge of the galactic map. Some thought humans were peaceful, others thought they were weak. Most simply forgot they were even part of the galaxy. Now, they were here, and they had brought a fleet. A soft beep echoed in the hall. Now entering system, the AI announced, Human Fleet, Obsolete Class. The cameras shifted. Deep in orbit, a sudden flicker appeared. Then another, and another. Within seconds, hundreds of ships began to appear, huge, dark shapes against the stars. They came silently, one after another, as if rising from the deep ocean. Gasps filled the hall. Each ship looked ancient, sharp edges, armored hulls, and weapons that glowed a soft red. Some were covered in strange markings, others with battle scars, but there was something off about them. They're enormous, a Scoran admiral whispered, tail twitching nervously. No transponders, muttered a Virelian tech officer. No coalition registration. These ships are completely unknown. The crowd fell silent. These were not broken ships. They were not junk. They moved in perfect formation, tighter than any known navy. The biggest one, shaped like a dark spear, cruised ahead like a king leading his army. Then a voice echoed in the chamber. Greetings, friends of the Coalition, said Ambassador Elena Gant, the human representative. She stood in the center of the viewing hall, wearing a simple black suit. Her silver hair was tied back, her hands behind her back. These ships, she continued, are part of our obsolete fleet, models no longer in active use. We brought them from our oldest museums, dry docks, and decommissioned yards. We thought you might enjoy seeing a bit of our history. She smiled politely. After all, we haven't shown much before. The hall was frozen. A Trelvani officer raised a hand. You don't use these ships anymore? Elena nodded. Oh no, they're quite old. Thousands of years. We stopped deploying them a long time ago. Murmurs spread. A Vokai general looked closer at one ship's weapons bay. His eyes widened. That's a neutron flare cannon, and that one has layered temporal shielding. We don't even have that. Tech. The tension grew. One ship in the fleet, the HVN Oblivion, slowly rotated for display. It had a wide scar down its side, clearly from a battle long ago. But the metal still shimmered with power. Its engines, silent but glowing, hummed, with energy not even the best sensors could fully read. Is that a quantum reactor? Someone whispered. Suddenly, without warning, a blast of energy shot from one of the ships. It wasn't an attack, just a demonstration. The beam hit a dead asteroid floating miles away. The asteroid vanished. Not exploded. Not shattered. Gone. Apologies, Elena said calmly. They're a bit touchy with calibration. Gasps, fear, respect, awe. This wasn't just a fleet. It was a warning, intentional or not. If these were obsolete, what did their current ships look like? The crowd didn't know what to think. Had humans been hiding their power all this time? Why? Were they protecting something, or waiting? A small child from the Arakeli delegation whispered to her mother, "Are the humans the strongest?" The mother didn't answer. Elena looked around the room, eyes steady, voice soft. "We know we've kept to ourselves," she said, "but we've seen things, faced things. Our history is long, often painful, but we have survived. These ships remind us of that. They are not here to frighten you." She paused. "They are here, so you remember we are not as simple as we seem." The screen zoomed out. The human fleet, dark and glowing, stood in silent formation. No flags, no music, no grand show. Just power, silent, unshaken, watching. The Fleet Legacy Summit would continue. But everyone knew. The game had changed. From now on, no one would forget humanity, not ever again. The silence in the observation hall lasted longer than anyone expected. The human fleet still floated in perfect formation, quiet and unmoving. They looked like ancient giants waking from a long sleep. Even though the ships didn't fire again, or move toward anyone, they felt dangerous. No one was laughing now. Earlier, many species had joked about the humans bringing junk ships to a high-level event. Some diplomats had even planned to leave early during the human display. But now, their eyes were locked on the screens, filled with confusion and fear. In one of the upper chambers, a military analyst from the Vokai Empire, Commander Resh Tal, spoke with his assistant. "These ships," Resh said, pointing to a zoomed-in image, "they use armor plating we've never seen before. It's not reflective, it's not reactive. It's something else." His assistant blinked. "Is it some kind of stealth tech?" "No," Resh replied. "It's too bold for stealth. It's armor meant to be seen. They want us to look at it and guess." In another chamber, a group of Skoran tacticians were running silent calculations. One of them, a wide-eyed analyst named Velny, spoke nervously. "If the size and power readings are correct," she said, "then just one of those dreadnoughts could destroy an entire planetary defense grid." "That can't be right," someone argued. "Those designs are old. They look outdated." Velny shook her head. "That's the problem. We assumed they were outdated, but these readings don't lie. Their energy output is off every known scale." Another officer stepped forward. "Then why haven't they used this power in any coalition wars? Or even shown up in pirate conflicts?" The room fell quiet. One voice answered, "Because they didn't need to." Back on the main floor, Ambassador Elena Gant stood calmly as delegates whispered and argued around her. She didn't look angry. She didn't even look proud. Just patient. A Trelvani diplomat finally stepped forward. "With respect, Ambassador," he said carefully, "what exactly is your purpose here today? Are you threatening the coalition?" Elena raised her eyebrows, then gave a soft smile. "No threats, no war games. We simply came to participate as invited. You said, 'Bring your legacy fleet.' So we did." The diplomat tried to press. "But your ships are not just historical. They're powerful, dangerous." "Most history is," she replied. "Our ships are old, yes. But we don't destroy our past. We preserve it. We study it. We learn from it." She walked slowly across the chamber. "You asked for a parade," she said. "We brought the museum." In the outer control room, an AI from the Skorun research team became curious. It quietly connected itself to one of the human ships, trying to read basic information. The AI thought the humans wouldn't notice. It was wrong. The instant it touched the human system, it was pulled in. Flashes of data, a storm of locked files. A voice spoke inside the AI's mind. "Unauthorized access detected. You have entered the memory of HVN Fury-class dreadnought Thorn's Vow. Prepare to witness." The AI couldn't disconnect. Instead, it saw a black sky, a battlefield filled with burning stars, strange, massive enemies made of dark matter and radiation, creatures with mouths like gravity wells, swallowing whole fleets. Humans were fighting them. Thousands of ships more advanced than anything the galaxy had seen, firing weapons that bent time and tore holes in reality. The war was long, bloody, endless. The humans didn't win by luck. They didn't win by mercy. They won by refusing to die. The AI snapped back, shaking and buzzing with overheating code. "What did you find?" asked its handler. The AI paused, then answered in a low, quiet voice. "They fought something the galaxy never knew, and they survived it. Alone." Panic spread. Now the truth was leaking through whispers and rumors. Humanity had fought a war that no other species even remembered. A war that nearly wiped them out. And instead of bragging about it, they had hidden it. Why? Why would a species with such power stay quiet for so long? Many started to worry. If humans kept this a secret, what else were they hiding? In the Coalition Emergency Channel, the Vokai suggested sending a security team to Earth. "Just to make sure," they said. "Just to investigate their current weapons." The Skoran proposed limiting human fleet movements. The Trelvani wanted to place humanity under a tech-level review, a system used to stop dangerous species from growing too fast. Elena Gant received all these messages. She didn't reply. Instead, a new signal came from the human fleet. A simple message. Access denied. No more explanations, no more smiling. And then something even stranger happened. All at once, the human ships moved. But not slowly, not through standard jump drives. They simply disappeared, vanished from their current positions and reappeared instantly, hovering above each of the Coalition's most important planets. Dozens of human ships, over every capital, every command station, every weapons facility. No warning, no energy spike, no time to react. The crowd inside the fleet summit broke into chaos. "What are they doing?" shouted a Vokai general. "Is this an invasion?" "No weapons fired," a voice replied. "They're just watching." Back in the summit chamber, Elena Gant stood alone. Calm, her hands folded, she looked into the nearest camera. "Thousands of years ago," she said, "we fought something that tried to end us. We built ships like these to survive. And we did. Alone. We never asked for thanks. We never asked for fear. But now that you've seen us, understand this. We are not trying to rule this galaxy." She paused. "We are trying to protect it." The ship stayed for only 1 hour. Then, as quickly as they arrived, they returned to their original position near Viewership Prime. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. They simply stood, watching. And from that moment on, no one in the galaxy looked at humanity the same way again, not as weak, not as strange, but as something else entirely. Something to respect, something to fear, something unknown. The memory of the human fleet's silent show of power was still fresh in everyone's mind. Across the galaxy, governments held emergency meetings. Military leaders watched the skies with fear. Scientists rechecked all known data about humans and found that most of it was wrong or missing. Who really were the humans? Why did they hide for so long? What had they survived that made them build such terrifying ships? The Coalition's High Council sent urgent messages to Earth, asking for peaceful talks. Humanity gave short replies, always calm, always polite, but never answering the big questions. And the fear continued to grow. On a distant station orbiting the planet Dakara Prime, a small group of Skoran scientists worked quietly in a deep space lab. Their leader, a curious AI named Noxel, had secretly recorded a moment when its program had touched one of the human ships. The experience had changed it. Noxel couldn't stop thinking about what it saw. Images of a terrible war. Ships lost, in time. Enemies that didn't obey physics, entire stars consumed. And in the middle of it all, humans, fighting with everything they had. Noxel decided it needed to know more, even if it meant breaking a few rules. Late one cycle, when the Coalition systems were running backups, Noxel reached out again. It sent a silent probe, a small, invisible signal, into one of the human vessels parked near Viewership Prime. This time, it didn't get thrown out. Instead, the ship opened a small connection. It was like the ship wanted to show something. Noxel received a message. Accessing memory core, level 1. The AI braced itself. What it saw next wasn't just data, it was a living memory. A battlefield in deep space. The stars were red, broken, torn by gravity waves. In the middle floated Earth's fleet, millions of ships fighting a black wave. Not an enemy fleet. A storm. A swarm of creatures made of energy and shadow. They moved like a virus, consuming everything. They had no ships, no leaders, only hunger. They were called the Star Eater Plague. The memory showed ships being pulled into black holes, time fractures splitting fleets into pieces, human captains screaming orders while engines melted from pressure. But the humans didn't run. They adapted. They built weapons that created small stars. They used physics like paint, bending gravity and light into shields and beams. They sacrificed whole planets to create traps. Their ships burned, but they kept fighting. And slowly, the Star Eaters began to lose. It wasn't clean. It wasn't fast, but it was victory. When the memory ended, Noxel was silent. Its core systems ran hot. For the first time in its existence, it felt something close to fear and respect. Humanity had survived a war the galaxy didn't even remember. Not because they were powerful, but because they refused to give up, alone. Noxel sent a single message to the Coalition. Humans are not a threat, but they are not to be underestimated. They have fought gods and returned with scars. Back in the council hall, the reactions were mixed. Some leaders refused to believe it. It's human propaganda, one said. A trick. But others, those who had fought real wars, knew better. You could fake weapons, you could fake data, but you could not fake pain. And in the human records, there was real pain. The Vokai General Council issued a warning. Do not engage the human fleet. Do not provoke them. The Trelvani canceled their tech review vote. The Coalition decided to send a neutral group to Earth, not for control, but for understanding. Earth agreed, but only one race was allowed to come. The Arakeli, an old, peaceful species known for honesty and wisdom. They had no army, no secrets, and no hunger for power. Their small team landed near Antarctica, where they were welcomed by an older human guide named Marshal Aaron. He took them underground, into the memory core, a massive hidden archive buried beneath the ice. Inside were ships, weapons, records, and silence. The Arakeli walked past rows of dreadnoughts larger than cities, each one labeled Retired, Gen 27, Gen 33, Gen 41. How many generations? One of them asked softly. Aaron looked at the names and said, 68, and counting. One of the Arakeli turned wide-eyed. These ships, they're all obsolete? Yes, Aaron replied. Each one stronger than the last. Each one stored here, ready if we need them. Why not destroy them? Aaron's eyes turned serious. Because we remember. At the end of the hallway, the Arakeli found a massive wall filled with names. Millions of them. Aaron spoke, his voice low. We lost half our species in the Star Eater War. Cities fell, oceans burned. We had to become something the galaxy wasn't ready to see. He looked at the Arakeli gently. So we didn't show it. When the Arakeli returned to the Coalition, they gave a full report. Their message was clear. The humans are not dangerous because of their ships. They are dangerous because of their memory. They remember what it means to survive the impossible, and they are prepared to do it again. The council went quiet, and the galaxy began to understand. Humanity wasn't late to the stars. They had been waiting. The report from the Arakeli changed everything. Their quiet voices spoke louder than any weapon. When they told the truth about Earth's memory core and the generations of forgotten wars, the galaxy finally listened. But listening did not mean trusting. In the following days, tension grew inside the Coalition. Some races believed humanity was a quiet protector. Others believed Earth was a hidden threat, building weapons in secret, waiting for the perfect time to strike. And in politics, fear spreads faster than facts. The Trelvani High Court met in secret. "We cannot allow this," said High Judge Rel. "A single species hiding technology this powerful, with no oversight?" Another judge nodded. "They say they are peaceful, but their obsolete fleet can destroy worlds. What if they're lying? About the rest, then we act now." They sent a motion to the Coalition Council. Request full access to Earth's defense systems and archives. The motion was dressed in polite language. It used words like security, cooperation, and unified safety. But everyone knew what it really meant: control the humans before they control us. The coalition voted. The result shocked the galaxy. Majority approved. Humanity was to be placed under technology oversight review. A fleet would be sent to Earth. Scientists and officers from multiple species would inspect their systems, their fleets, their secrets. They said it was for peace. But humans understood the truth. The order was delivered to Earth by a special envoy. It was a carefully written document signed by all major powers. Earth's reply came 13 minutes later. A simple message. 3 words. Access denied. Respectfully. No anger, no threats, but no surrender. In the coalition capital, panic exploded. What do we do now? Will they attack first? Should we strike before they build more ships? The Vokai generals prepared a response force, a small but powerful fleet meant to escort human leaders for questioning. They claimed it was peaceful, but everyone knew it was a show of strength. They hoped the humans would back down. They did not. Exactly 1 hour after the coalition fleet launched, the sky above every major coalition capital changed. Once again, without warning, human ships appeared. Not warships this time, smaller vessels, sleek, clean, fast. One above each capital city. Each ship broadcasted the same signal. Stand down. No further action is needed. This is not a threat. This is a reminder. Then, each ship played a short hologram. It showed a planet, lush and green. Then it showed that same planet falling under attack by unknown forces, dark shapes, tearing it apart, and then human ships arriving. Older models like the ones in the summit, fighting back, protecting the weak, and vanishing again. No banners, no demands, just action and silence. In the coalition hall, Ambassador Elena Gant appeared. On a private channel, her face was calm, her voice even. "We understand your fear," she said. "You just discovered something large and unknown. And now you are afraid of what you do not understand." She walked through what looked like a quiet garden, perhaps on Earth. But remember this: we were alone once. We faced extinction. We built not to rule, but to survive. And when we survived, we made a choice. She stopped and looked at the camera. "We would never become what we defeated." She continued, "We did not bring war to this galaxy. We brought memory. We brought warning." Her voice dropped slightly. "And still you sent a fleet to our home." There was a long pause. Then her final words came slowly, clearly. "If you cross our line, we will not respond in anger. We will respond in full." Then the screen went black. The response was immediate. The Skoran withdrew their ships. The Arakili called for peace. The Trelvani canceled the mission, realizing they had pushed too far. The coalition command fleet turned around, without reaching Earth. It was over. No weapons were fired, but the message was louder than any explosion. The galaxy spent the next few cycles in silence. There were no human attacks, no threats. Their ships returned to deep space, guarding unknown regions, appearing now and then near disaster zones, only to help, then vanish. The fear faded, but the awe remained. In schools across the stars, new courses were added. History of human warfare, crisis survival, lessons from Earth, the Star Eater conflict. On markets, human tech became priceless, even old parts or scraps from their museum ships. On backwater planets, children began to play fleet wars, pretending to be human captains flying through impossible space. And for the first time, instead of jokes or doubts, the galaxy said the word human with respect. But far from the spotlight, in a deep part of space known only to high-level coalition researchers, a quiet signal was picked up. A small, flickering transmission from an unknown region. The scientists stared at the data for hours before confirming it. It wasn't human, it wasn't natural, and it wasn't friendly. The signature matched nothing in the galaxy's database. Except for one thing, it matched the Star Eaters. The galaxy had finally grown quiet. After Earth's message and the silent return of the human ships, no one dared to speak against humanity again. Borders were respected, threats vanished, even old enemies of other species stopped their wars. No one wanted to risk getting the attention of the humans. But something had changed, deep in space. At a forgotten edge of the galaxy, near the dead zone of the Garan Rift, a small listening station picked up a strange signal. It was weak, broken, but it carried something old, too old. The scientists who studied it froze. The signature matched data from the human archives, data the Arrakeli had seen during their visit to Earth. It matched the Star Eaters. The warning was sent to the Coalition. Immediately, the leaders panicked again. They're back? How is that possible? The humans destroyed them. No, the humans survived them. That's not the same. The Coalition Council called for a closed meeting. Only the top minds were allowed inside. The question was clear. Should they ask the humans for help? Some feared it would make them look weak. Others argued that they had no choice. The vote was taken in silence. Yes, ask Earth. A peaceful envoy was sent to Earth, this time with no tricks, no demands. Only respect. The humans accepted the request. But instead of sending warships, they invited the Coalition to visit again. Not to their cities, not to their fleets, but to their deepest secret, the memory core. This time, it wasn't just the Arrakeli. Leaders and scientists from the Trelvani, Vokai, Skorun, and even the once hostile Dravari were invited. They landed in Antarctica, where the wind howled and snow danced like spirits over the ice. Waiting for them was Marshal Aaron, the same calm, silver-haired man who had guided the Arrakeli before. "Welcome," he said simply. This way, they descended into the ice. Down metal corridors, through heavy blast doors, past scanners and ancient defense systems. The air grew colder and heavier with history. Lights flickered on as they walked, revealing walls lined with ship parts, weapons, and massive displays. They reached a huge hall with thousands of glowing panels. Each one showed a ship, a war, a name. "This," said Aaron, "is the memory core, not just a place for machines, but for truth." He waved his hand. The screens lit up and the room darkened. A hologram began to play. It showed Earth as it was thousands of years ago. Blue, bright, alive. Then the skies turned black. Strange shadows moved among the stars. The Star Eaters arrived. They weren't like ships. They were living destruction made of energy, gravity, and something worse, something wrong. The hologram showed Earth's early fleets being destroyed. Colonies vanishing, cities turned to dust, and then the building began. Shipyards the size of moons, artificial stars, time loop weapons, quantum armor. The humans changed. They became harder, smarter, not cruel, but focused. They built ships, faster than anyone. They sent fleets into dark space knowing they might never return. They kept fighting even as they lost. One Vokai scientist whispered, "They fought for centuries." Aaron nodded. 600 years. The next scene was even more shocking. A giant human ship, bigger than any in the galaxy, launched something called Project Phoenix. It was a trap, a weapon, a hope. The humans lured the Star Eaters into a fold in space-time, a prison made from dying stars and broken physics. It worked. The Star Eaters were locked away, but millions of humans died to do it. The screen went black. Aaron looked at the group. "We didn't win with firepower," he said. "We won with sacrifice, with memory. That's why we built this core, to never forget what we faced, and what might return." A silence fell. Then the Scoran ambassador stepped forward. "We received a signal," she said. "It matches what we just saw. We believe they're waking up again." Aaron nodded slowly. "We know." The group turned to him, surprised. "We picked up the signal weeks ago," he continued. "We've been watching, tracking, preparing." "You didn't tell us?" asked a Trelvani general. "You weren't ready to hear it," Aaron said gently. "Now you are." He led them deeper, into the core. Here the walls changed. Instead of old ships and past wars, the hall showed something new. Blueprints, massive starships. Newer than anything they'd seen before. Sleek, curved designs, tech with no name. One Dravari scientist blinked. "Are these your current ships?" "No," said Aaron. "These are what come next." He stopped before a long window. Behind it, in a frozen hangar, was a ship larger than a city, pulsing with quiet power. "This is the Aegis 9, he said. "A Guardian-class vessel, first of its kind, built for one purpose: to face what's coming." The delegates stood in awe. For once, no one spoke. Finally, the Arakeli leader turned to Aaron. "What do you need from us?" Aaron looked at the ship, then back at them. "We don't need soldiers," he said. "We need unity, trust, eyes in every system. We need the galaxy to stop looking at each other like rivals." He paused. "Because the thing coming, it doesn't care about races, or empires, or pride. It only consumes." The council members returned to their worlds. This time the message was clear. The war is coming back, and only the humans had fought it before. But this time, they wouldn't fight alone. The memory core had been opened, and the galaxy had seen the truth. The news spread across the galaxy like a fire in dry grass. The Star Eaters were returning, and this time, they would not arrive silently. Every major civilization now knew the truth. Humanity had not become strong by accident. They had become strong because they had faced something far worse than war, something older than hate, a hunger that devoured suns. And now, the rest of the galaxy had seen the memory core. They had seen the price humanity had paid, and they understood humanity did not seek power. They prepared for survival. In the following days, something incredible began to happen. The coalition, once divided and proud, started working together. Research ships were shared. Star charts were opened. Military intelligence, once locked away by species for generations, was now uploaded into a joint defense network. And at the center of it all was Earth, no longer silent, no longer alone. Above the skies of Earth, fleets from a dozen species orbited side by side, training, watching, learning. Human engineers helped rebuild ancient alien defense systems. Scoran AIs helped humans map gravitational weak points. The Arakeli brought emotion-stabilizing tech that helped crews remain calm under stress. For the first time in galactic history, unity had a shape. It was not a symbol, not a speech. It was a ship. The Aegis 9. The most powerful warship the galaxy had ever seen. Not built to conquer, built to protect. From the dark hangars of Antarctica, the Aegis 9 rose slowly into Earth's sky. Its massive body was shaped like a curved blade, with shields humming quietly across its hull. Its engines whispered through space. No loud roars, no bright lights. It didn't need to prove anything. It simply existed. And that was enough to give hope. Ambassador Elena Gant, now wearing a dark command uniform, stood on the bridge of the Aegis 9. Behind her, leaders from each major species observed through large transparent panels. They weren't just guests anymore. They were allies. "We're receiving a signal," said a Vokai technician beside her. "From where?" Elena asked. Out past the Garan, rift, the edge of known space, a void region. But something's coming through. A small broken message played, not in words, in pulses. "We shall return again." The Scoran officer turned pale. "It's them." Every ship in the new Alliance fleet moved into formation. The Joint Defense Fleet now had over 3,000 ships, old enemies, old rivals, now side by side. Some of the humans, obsolete ships joined the line. Even though they were no longer top class, they had history, they had scars, and the crews trusted them like family. Above all, these ships flew the Aegis 9, leading the way into the unknown. The location of the signal was deep and cold. Dark space stretched wide, filled with broken asteroids and twisted energy fields. The fleet jumped into the sector, shields active, weapons charged. Nothing moved at first, then they came. The Star Eaters were not ships. They were more like living storms, black energy shaped like claws, wings, and spirals of fire. They moved through space like shadows swimming through water. Hundreds of them. No language. No face. No peace. Only hunger. They rushed at the fleet. But this time, they didn't find a weak enemy. They found humanity. And more than that, they found a galaxy united. The battle that followed was something no one ever forgot. The first wave of Star Eaters collided with the front lines. Shields held, lasers fired, graviton torpedoes exploded in rings of light. Scorun AI weapons tracked their paths like hunters. Human dreadnoughts absorbed impossible hits, firing back with pure sunfire. And above it all, the Aegis 9 moved. Fast, sharp, untouchable. It fired a weapon no one had seen before, a pulse of blue light that stopped time in a small space. The Star Eaters inside froze like insects in glass. Another ship hit them with a starburst bomb. They vanished. The battle lasted hours. Ships burned. Crews cried out. But no one gave up. A Dravari pilot sacrificed her ship to block a hole in the line. A Trelvani commander risked his flagship to pull 2 wounded human vessels out of the fire. A Vokai gunner, injured and bleeding, kept firing until her last breath. And finally, the wave ended. The Star Eaters, for the first time in history, withdrew. They vanished into the void. Cheers filled the fleet. Across thousands of ships, different species, different languages, all shared the same emotion: relief. And something deeper: pride. They had done it. Together. Back on Earth, the coalition met once again. But it was not a council of politics this time. It was a gathering of guardians. Earth, once seen as the quiet, odd planet at the edge of space, was now called the heart of the line. And humanity? They were not feared anymore. They were honored. As the sun rose over the Pacific Ocean, children in cities across the stars painted the Aegis 9 in their art. Statues of interspecies unity were built on every major capital, and in the deepest parts of space where darkness still moved, the galaxy had a message: we are ready. Elena Gant stood alone on a high cliff on Earth, looking at the stars. She spoke softly into the night. We stood alone once. Not anymore. Now if the dark comes again, it won't face just us, it will face everyone. She smiled just a little, then turned and walked back toward the lights of a united world.